Let's chat more about this with the Sheffield, Brightside and Hillsborough MP, Gill Furniss. Gill, obviously congratulations on holding your seat. We're sitting here this week with an entirely Labour South Yorkshire. How do you feel about that?
Thank you, Ellie, for inviting me on today. But yeah, it's a fantastic feeling. I think it's just beginning to sink in that, this sort of remarkable night that we as a Labour Party had on the early hours of Friday morning. And great, isn't it? More and more women.
That's the thing. As we open up this discussion, there might be some people listening going, but why is it a good thing that there's more women than men? Tell us.
Well, since we are actually, women are more than half the population, it would seem only fair that we should have the same representation. And to be honest, we're not quite there yet. We're not quite there. It's only 40% of the seats overall, including Conservatives and Labour. Labour have got 46%, and the Conservatives have only got 24%, which is not really great. But I'm very privileged to have been, and may still well be, the co-chair of the Women's Health All-Party Parliamentary Committee. And I think it's really important that we're able to do that work. And we've done quite a lot of reports on maternity care, particularly in ethnic minority communities where we know there are some, very worrying disparities. We've done reports about women and heart attacks because, it's there are some sort of cardiac conditions that women actually have more than men, which is very little known. And we've done pieces of work on HRT as well. And I think it's really important that we have women's voices there and women who've actually been through these things so that we can better represent them and make sure that we've got better services in the future, if that's what the outcome of a report should be.
If we look at, obviously, the election just gone, we know that it was a big success for Labour. The word landslide being thrown around, the Red Wall has been rebuilt, but the turnout wasn't good, was it? What did you make of that?
I think that, was to be expected. I mean, we know that the Gaza situation has been very difficult and that we've got a lot of work to do in the future. And strangely enough, I've worked quite a lot with women in our sort of communities on this issue, and we'll be carrying on talking to people as we go forward. And I think that's something that women can sometimes do better than men in terms of trying to get the community cohesion back that we desperately need in some areas of Sheffield. And I think, it's important that we're all there together on that.
There was suggestion as well, Gill, that it was more of an anti-Tory vote as opposed to pro-Labour, and people were just so sick that they thought, oh, we'll just, vote for the next biggest party. Yeah. What do you think about that?
I think that's quite often what happens. It's that governments lose the election quite often more than, the opposition win. And it is, I think, that sort of thing that, there were 14 years where the Tories have been in. There's a lot of people I've spoken to had no idea they've been there 14 years. But there is that sort of sense that they probably had run out of steam. But I do think a big part of it is that people have seen how a lot of the Tory MPs have actually behaved. And it is quite shocking, the number of cases that went to the Standards Committee and the number of by-elections that we've had in the past year. And I think people have just feel that they can't trust us, and we've got a job of work to do as individual MPs to sort of convince our communities that we are here and we are different and that things will get better, even though it might take some time. And if we get that message over, I hope that we would be able to be back where we were before.
Well, you've been the MP for Sheffield, Brightside and Hillsborough since 2016. This is the first time, though, that obviously since being an MP that you are in power. Obviously, I'm sure you won't let it get to your head. It might be a bit exciting, but you've got to stay measured and all that. How are you going to make sure that people don't have voters' regret for voting for the Labour Party and putting you where you are?
Well, I think we've all got our part to play in that, as you rightly say. And I think the sort of things that we do already, really, probably got us through this as well, is to try and engage with our communities as much as possible. We're in London, obviously, Monday to well, quite often Thursdays, or sometimes we have to stay Friday for private members' bills. So we don't get a lot of time to be out there. And I don't think that's something that people always understand. They tend to think that we're just in an office in Sheffield when we're not. We do spend most of our time there. But on Fridays, when we are home, we do spend a lot of time visiting various organisations to talk to them. And also we have people in for meetings, and, we will be doing more sort of round tables as well. I'm hoping to do a round table on knife crime very shortly, because we've got strong policies. Well, we want to develop very strong policies on that fairly immediately, because we know in South Yorkshire there is an unacceptable number of these crimes, which quite honestly completely wreck families on both sides of the agenda, if you like. And, we've got to do lots of work there. And it is about being very accessible, I think. And I like to think that I've been accessible over the last 8 years. I can't believe I've been here 8 years. It feels like yesterday.
I feel like for those of us on the outside, obviously myself included in that, despite working in the media, I'm not a fly in the wall. What does a week in Westminster look like? Take us through what you would actually do on a day-to-day. I'm sure it changes, but I'd love to know. Let me in.
Well, oh gosh, it's very complex, this Parliament. It's a bit of an alternative universe, I would say, in some respects. But yes, on Monday, you're on the train about 10:30, straight down to London, and it's really good because once you get into Midland Station, particularly in the winter, you don't actually have to go outside again. Because, you get off at St Pancras, you get on the tube. We have a little entrance at the back that nobody much knows about. And we go through that. And so if it's bad weather, you don't get cold or, wet or anything. So it's right good that. I don't suppose everybody's the same, but this is our station, isn't it? Yeah. And then the day begins. And first thing every morning, what called business questions, which is where each department has a turn to scrutinise the government. And so I've been used for the last 8 years to stick it to the Tories, I suppose you could say. And I've got to now learn to do something different, which, we all will have to, because we'll be on the defence rather than the attack, I guess. And that is quite good that you can ask the government ministers as they were. That's my only experience about various things that are happening. And particularly, you like to say something about your own constituency as well, as often as you can. And then it goes into the different debates that we have and the different legislation that's going through. And you have to put your name down. It's a bit like going in a raffle for all of that.
I was going to say that. Was it like a raffle? Yeah. What do you win?
Yeah.
Bottle of Prosecco.
Well, a moment in the limelight, where you get up and you deliver a speech that that your staff have helped you put together before you go down there. And Mondays, we don't start till 2:30. And we vote usually, depending on what's on the agenda, about 10 o'clock at night. And it can range from one vote to, I think the most I've ever done was 17.
Goodness.
And then we have to go physically through the lobbies, but there is a little machine now that we've got, a little card that you pop there, we've got a bit IT, and each one takes about 10 minutes. So you can imagine 17 minutes, you're talking about several hours sometimes just going around the lobbies. So that's always the best. It's not exactly the day everyone looks forward to, Monday. That is a fact.
Well, do you know what, Gill? Next time you'll have to take us through Tuesday, then after that Wednesday, then after that Thursday, because I'm genuinely engaged. Thank you very much. Gill Furniss there, the Sheffield Brightside and Hillsborough MP.